Are you ready? It's Photoshop time, and you know the drill. Smack it, whack it, and crack-a-lack it.
Yes! That's awesome! What?
So in this video, I'm going to show you how to composite these two images together. I've sourced them from a free website. The links are in the description, so feel free to go download those real quick and just follow along with me. In the video, we're going to learn how to get your images the fastest way into Photoshop, the object selection tool, the quick selection tool, a variety of masking techniques, how to convert something to black and white, and finally a sepia tone. Also, remember to share your work. There are 3 ways in the description that you can share your Photoshop creations with me and everyone else that watches this. The quickest way to get 2 images into the same file in Photoshop, if you know in advance what you want to combine, is just in Bridge. Just command select the 2 images or 20 images that you want. Go up to the menu bar, Tools, go down to Photoshop, and then over to Load Files into Photoshop Layers. That way it's going to do all the math for me. If you get this Photoshop is busy, it's a bug, just click yes, and it'll get right to work. So what it did is it used the largest image, and then it just placed the smaller one on top of it as a layer, so it's all together. I'm going to turn off this top layer. First thing we need to do is we need to remove the sky, because I'm basically replacing the whole sky. Now, I know this is a fairly complex sky, but watch how good Photoshop is. If you click on this layer, just go over here to the quick selection area. The very first tool is the object selection tool, and you can just select the object by drawing a box around it, and Photoshop will try and figure out what it is that you want, and it did a great job. So now I would go over to the quick selection tool, because I also want all this grass. And I would just make a quick pass over the grass. And then I'd make a pass over these parts of the trees. And then I would try to see if I can get some of these trees with the quick selection tool. Obviously, this is a more complex. The trees back here are blurry, and there's lots of gaps in them. But we're not doing too bad so far. Now, as long as you have one of the 3 categories over here of selection tool selected, you will get the select and mask option. So I'm going to choose that. It has this, if yours doesn't have this little red area, go over to the view. You can see I'm using this red overlay for mine. If you actually are layering something onto a layer below, putting it on layer is a really good choice, but you have all these options just to choose which is going to work best for you based on the image you're working with. So the first thing to refine an edge selection is to use this refine edge brush. It's the second one down right here. And basically I make it fairly small in relation to what I'm selecting, and I try to keep the crosshairs right on the edge. So half of the circle is in the thing I want, and half of the circle is in the area I don't want. And then I just kind of make a pass like this. It's an AI learning program, which means Photoshop is calculating and recalculating every time I let go of the mouse and then restart. So I always, I'm clicking and then I'm letting go, and then I'm clicking again and letting go. And if you get something like, see right here, I've got more of this tail than we wanted. All you do is hold down the Alt or Option key, and it's going to change to a minus sign. And basically you tell Photoshop, no, don't get that part. Make my brush a little smaller with the left bracket key. Just try to get a little bit more of this. Command 0 to fit in screen. Right bracket key to make my brush bigger. And let's just do some pass right over here and see how it does. I'll stop for a minute, let it think. I'll go for a bigger brush. And I'll stop and let it think. It's not doing bad. I'll make a pass across all of this and see how it does. So once you've done this, so toggle on your smart radius and pull the radius to about 1 pixel. I like to smooth my selections just by 1 or 2 pixels. And I feather the edge maybe 0.2 to 0.5, very, very subtle here. And then under output settings, do you see this blue tinge? I don't know that it'd be a problem since we're converting it to black and white, but look at the edge here. And watch what happens when I click decontaminate colors. See, it tried to remove the blue reflection out of everything. And again, as I said, we're converting this to black and white, so I doubt this is be a real issue, but it's a nice technique if you're keeping the color. Then choose output to new layer with layer mask. It's the most viable solution because when you click OK, as if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I typically automatically hit Command or Control J from the beginning. That way I'm never editing on my original file in case I mess up something and accidentally hit save. But here it automatically duplicated the file for me. It turned off the eyeball of my original file and it's created a layer mask. If you hold down the Alt or Option key, you can see your mask, which is good practice to see if you need to go in and refine your mask. I'll have other videos on refining masks. I'm going to click that eyeball to bring it back live. Now I'm going to activate that bird layer. So if you're new to Photoshop, basically the layers work the way a sandwich works if you're looking at it from the top. If the piece of cheese is above the piece of ham, then you won't see the piece of ham, or maybe you'll just see part of it underneath. Like we have here, the bird layer is above the main subject layer. So I'm just going to click and drag that bird layer underneath. And since we have a mask, remember black conceals and white reveals. That's a mnemonic to remember how the masks work. So anything that's black is going to show whatever's underneath it, which currently are the birds. They're not scaled correctly. So I'm going to select the bird layer, hit Command or Control T, and I'm going to stretch them out big enough to fill the screen. And since there are birds in the background, I'm not really worried about the resolution. I'll hit Command or Control 0 to fit it in the screen, then Command minus just so I can see everything all the way around. So right away, we're obviously a little concerned about the color and the black and white. So let's fix that first. So I'll choose the main subject layer. I'll add a black and white adjustment mask. So here we can make some subtle adjustments with the color channels, just to tweak stuff. But mostly I want to approach this from a global lighting and color density perspective. What I mean by that is notice how black, how dense the birds are. The Dmax is just totally blacked out. So there are no real rich black tones in the original base image. So we need to fix that. So what I'm going to do is just grab a levels adjustment mask right here. I'm going to go down to the properties panel and I'm going to click on this black eyedropper. When I do this, I'm going to come and click on the tree itself. Now, why did I choose that? Let me hit Command or Control Z to undo it. See, if I come over here and say basically take this level of gray and make everything else dark, it may not get exactly what I want. So I know I want these trees. They have to be pure black. They have to be silhouetted for this illusion to work. So that's why I'm clicking in the background and that resets my black point. And then obviously if like the main subject went a little dark, it came in with a layer mask. So all I have to do is hit the B key, right bracket key to make my brush a little bigger. I'm going to look at my opacity real quick and just probably type the letter 5, which again is so much faster than using this disclosure triangle and dragging it. The next best way is actually just to hover over the word and you can drag it that way. But if you already know, I want about 50%, just hit 5. And then I can paint right here just to keep that a little bit more alive. And if I want to, I can actually command click on this layer mask, control click for Windows users, to get that mask so that I don't have to worry about going outside of the line, so to speak, and Command D to deselect. All right, we're getting there. So what I want to do now is push this to its own layer. And you do that by holding the Command Option Shift letter E. What that's going to do is it's going to take the 4 layers I have, and again, it could be 40, it could be 4,000, and it's going to squish all of them together to a unified image. So here's the unified image. So now I just want to tweak the image itself. Duplicate the layer by hitting Command or Control J. So after I've duplicated the layer, I'll go choose a blend mode. Like maybe I want to lighten the main subject up a little bit. So I would choose the screen blend mode. Now here, obviously, Photoshop turns everything up to 100%. So you have to lower the opacity a bit to make the effect a bit more subtle. And then once you have the effect you want, remember screen, the most common ones to use for the blend modes are screen will lighten one layer to the next, multiply will darken one layer to the next, and overlay or soft light will add contrast from one layer to the next. But here, as I said, I'm going to use screens. There's before, there's after. I like that, but I actually don't like that the grass is getting a little brighter. So I go ahead and add a layer mask and basically just hit 0 for 100% of my opacity up there. Make sure that black's in my foreground. And I just mask this out right here. Alt or Option key my mask just to see that's where I just painted. Make sure that's a little dim. Maybe I'd hit 5 and the letter X and just spot click a couple times so it's not all the uniform tonality. So now once I've created the composite, that feels pretty nice and believable already. Now I'm going to add a sepia tone. There are a lot of ways to do this. One of my favorite ways is to go up here to the hue and saturation adjustment layer and then come down to the properties panel and check colorize. Auto sets to these settings. Typically I like the more brownish sepia, something like that. And then I'll pull my saturation down just so it's not, so heavy handed. And I'll hit the tab key so you can see it. Command 0 to fill the screen. So I hope this video has helped. And if it has, definitely check out some more of my stuff. Take care. Bye.
Yes!
Hey, what are you still doing here? It's over. Actually, all kidding aside, I hope this video helped. And if it did, consider subscribing. I like subscribers.
That's awesome! What? You just took one in the jugular, man! Whoa! Yes! Oh my god, I did! This is...
Hey, you stayed to the end. You know what that means? You're awesome. I'm talking about you. Now get out of here.